You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice for the weekend, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. It's really been awesome getting all these emails through Kyle, and the numbers of emails have been terrific. So thanks a lot for enjoying this part of it, because it's just a break from the rest of the stuff. And that's really what we wanted to do, and have something kind of cool to close to. And it seems like it's really worked out. So I appreciate it. Seriously. All right, here we go. We don't want to turn this into a Reddit chat room here, but there are a lot of follow-ups now. We're getting a lot of follow-up emails based on other guys. And for the most part, this one's important, though, because it's about pickup hoops. Hey, was listening to the life advice about the subpar hooper in Celebration who was playing music while working on his jumper and his Air Monarchs. If the situation wasn't bad enough, I live in Celebration and can say that outdoor court that is available is great, except the hoops are only 8.5 feet high. What? As if it wasn't embarrassing enough, this guy's out there grinding on hoops that are more fit for the 3- and 6-year-olds than himself. Thought I would add that extra wrinkle into the situation. We're hoping it's still the same hoops. I actually hope that that's true. We don't know. I mean, our guy's saying, hey, I live there. These are where the courts are. So now we need a follow-up from the dad to ask if they were actually 8.5-foot hoops. Because if you roll out of a Mercedes, gray Flint tights underneath, ready to ball, little yachty going, and it's 8.5 feet, you should be arrested for that. Seriously. And then we had people jumping in on the Air Monarch thing where Kyle, I don't have any problem people stepping to me on some of the age stuff, but they should not step to you. Hey, just listen to the podcast and wanted to drop a quick line regarding the pickup hoops. While Kyle's association with his dad and Air Monarchs, along with Ryan's confusion with the Little Yachty fans' footwear choice is understandable, a certain subsection of sneaker fans are into that type of look these days. At 37, it's not my personal preference, but the coveted 18 to 25-year-old crowd appears to be all in the chunky sneaker look. Hey, dude, I've been to parties in Malibu and West Hollywood. I am aware of the chunky sneaker look. So I take offense to that, even though I'm on the older side of things, still aware enough of the social spectrum. So I just don't know. You can question me on it, but I know I sound sensitive about this right now, and that's fine. But the idea that Kyle doesn't know that chunky sneakers aren't in, are you kidding me? This guy runs Sunset when things are normal. So Kyle, feel free to add anything to that.
I got nothing. No response to that. I'm not going to dignify it.
There you go. Okay. Let's do some life advice ones. All right. I've been a fan of the work, SVP. Here's the rundown. 5'9", 200, built like a 19th century strongman, but probably only a 6 in the looks department. If you're calling yourself a 6 at 21, I've noticed this. This is an amazing thing. I don't know if any scientists have actually worked on this, but the younger you are, the higher you overrate yourselves. Like, that's the deal. And as you get a little bit older, you're like, all right, who am I kidding? So if you're saying you're a 6 at 21, maybe you're 6 though, or maybe you're really hard on yourself. Maybe you're like a sneaky 7. Also depends on the town. Geography has a lot to do with this. You could be, look at Pam Beasley. Scranton. All right. Manhattan. Kidding me? All right. Finishing up his engineering degree. Been single for a while. With the pandemic, I was back in my small hometown for the fall. Maybe it was the dry spell or the nostalgia of being back home, but I've been Snapchatting my high school girlfriend again. Our siblings are friends, so we've had limited on and off contact ever since I broke up with her. It wasn't like I just hit her up out of the blue. So we're talking probably a couple of years here. If he's 21, 22, junior or senior. So, all right, we're talking 3 or 4 years. She's pretty hot. Shout out. In high school, she was county fair queen. Run into those every day. And a 3-sport athlete. And she certainly hasn't let herself go. Okay. Check out my man. Right now, she's finishing up a degree in teaching and volunteer coaching basketball at her old high school. So look at that. She wants to help other people. On paper, we should have worked out. We wanted similar things out of life and had similar views on most of the big picture questions at the time. The only problem was our chemistry. We didn't mesh well, but all the previously mentioned perks of her as a girlfriend kept me around. At the time, I had female friends I'd rather hang out with than her. Not in a romantic sense, though. Okay, save. I just enjoyed their company more than hers. I thought that was a red flag, so I ended things after dating a while, probably a little later than I should have. My question is, Should I give her a second chance? It's been a few years and people change. I'm different. I'm sure she is too. The problem is our families are close. And I already broke her heart once. As much as I'd like to, is that Mariah Carey that's saying Heartbreaker? I think a lot of people have, but I thought she had one that was pretty good. As much as I'd like to just have a casual physical relationship with her, that doesn't seem like a possibility given the circumstances, the type of girl I know she was in high school. Do I flirt it up and see where things go or keep her at arm's length and continue on in my life? All right. Not a uncommon dilemma here. So you did start this off, though, saying, hey, I don't know if it's a dry spell or if I'm back home. All right. So be honest. Like, you care about this person's feelings. Okay. So if it's an option because of the history, there's two ways this can go. Because of the history, it's like, hey, we already tried it. We know it's not going anywhere, but we're stuck in a pandemic and we're both back in town and we're kind of finishing school. So, hey, it's cool. All right. Because that sounds like what you want. I mean, you could ask her. All right. You could try to find that out. But if that's not what she wants, she actually wants to have this life, because sometimes when people get back together, you know that, all right, if I get back together with this person, it's all the way serious now, like really serious. Everything's on the line, all of those things. It doesn't sound like you want any of those things. You may want the same things in life, but you don't seem to want any of those right now. So, that's where you can't mess with the other person, right? You can't look at your situation and go, hey, it's convenient, and not think about, like, look, some of you do. I've done it when you're younger. You don't factor a lot of these things in. That's why you're emailing the show now. But it sounds like you care enough that you're already wondering this stuff out loud. So that's a good sign, right? That's good. You actually are caring about how the other person is going to feel about your decisions. That's admirable. Very, very cool. So just don't do it because, if you're like, I'm not really quite sure, like, just don't lie. How about that? Don't lie about it. Just go, hey, this is kind of where my head's at with this whole thing. Maybe it works out. Maybe you don't have to plan out the rest of your life by just getting back together with somebody. People get back together and then it doesn't work out. But I just always feel like there's extra pressure on the people. And then the time away, and it was like, oh, were you dating that guy with the boat? You're like, oh, he was such a loser. I'm like, yeah, that's not, I heard he's awesome, actually, and then you can have some of that stuff. And then she starts asking you questions. Like, some people are really mature in the sense that they just don't care. They're like, oh, you weren't with me. I wasn't with you. Like, all right, whatever happened. It doesn't matter. It doesn't impact us at all. I think more people are in the other category where you're back together and you're kind of wondering some of that history, but you didn't bring up any of your history. She didn't bring up any of her, or you didn't bring up any of hers. So it sounds like that part of it's not much of a problem. As far as the family thing, like, yeah, it's also cool that you care about how the family part of this interacts. But you know what? Like, you don't have to answer to them. Like, if you want to hang with her and you don't know if it's going to work out and she wants to hang with you, I wouldn't worry about the family. Like, the family isn't the one that has to date anybody here. So you could just ask to see where her head's at. But people rarely just straight up ask other people. They dance around it. They take forever. There's mixed signals on it. And then, you could find out in 3 years after never doing anything. She was like, oh, I was just down to hang out the whole time. She's like, I didn't want to marry you. We already broke up, tried that. So it wasn't like that. So you could just ask her. I know that seems really simple, but nobody ever does it. All right. Let's do another one here. Okay. This one sucks. All right. What's up, guys? 23, 6 feet. Well, I don't know why everybody's sitting in their height and weight, but whatever. Okay. Did we ask for that, Kyle? Is that on me?
I think you read it when people say it. So they're like, all right, I'm doing this. It's like the accepted format, like MLA now.
Yeah, that's true. But I know Dan Patrick did it when guys called in. So I'm very sensitive to ever doing anything. It makes it sound like I'm ripping anything off. But shout out to the OG, Dan Patrick. All right. I've been with my girl for about a year now. Everything's great. But there's one thing she does that I think is extremely strange. My girlfriend thinks that it's normal to share toothbrushes. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. It started when we first started hanging out. She would use mine when over at my place in the morning instead of waiting to get home to use her own. Okay. Well, I'm just going to check you real quick on this. You actually want your girlfriend to never do anything with the dental scene while she's like still around in the morning? Like, look, sometimes you're going to date somebody who just has morning breath, and then there's other people that don't. And, you just got to, you can put together this list of like 40 things you want out of a partner, and, it's not going to happen. You're not going to go 40 for 40. And if your girl ends up having morning breath, there's probably a lot of other stuff that you're going to like. But I don't think that's normal. But I don't think it's normal to want her to not like have to wait until she goes home to brush her own teeth. All right. So He says, this caught me completely off guard, and I could not get over the fact she's so casual about using my toothbrush. I brought it up after the first couple times, and she didn't think anything odd about it. Claims she liked mine. Okay, so I like where my man goes here. A few weeks later, I bought her the same one, thinking she would leave my toothbrush alone, and she persisted in using mine daily. Months later, we were basically living together, and she's still using mine every day. At this point, do I say anything to her again, or do I accept the increased risk of gum disease? I don't think this is like an STD here, man, so I don't think the toothbrush thing, I don't know, but we'll have a dentist check in, I'm sure, but I don't know if you just use somebody else's brush that would be gum disease. I don't know. I've never been in this situation before. Okay, that's weird. I would prefer that not to be the case with somebody that was living with me. So I hear you on that one. And you've already asked her about it. Quick solution. Side toothbrush she doesn't know about. It's about it. And then if she goes, hey, the toothbrush is dry. Like, are you not using it? I like to use it after you use it. Then dump her, because that's fucking insane.
Yeah. Well, he got the same exact one. So maybe just get a different one that's like obviously different. And if she switches over to that, yeah, it's a problem.
No, I'm saying hide.
Yeah,
the side.
I know what you're
Yeah.
saying. You're saying I might lose some sleep over that. She brings it up.
I just like using yours.
It's so fucking weird.
I can understand somebody using yours. All right. Like it's happened. All right. It's happened to dudes. But now you're basically living with me and I bought you the same one because you like mine, but you prefer to use the one I'm using. If we end up finding that you get cut up and she's wearing your skin as a suit, I'm going to be, instead of like 99% surprised, I'll be 90% surprised. All right. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. I think we have time for one more. Let's run through. It's a Thursday night, feeling a little bit. No one's playing for the Nets. So when you hear this tomorrow, you'll understand. Yeah, I like this one. All right. I do want to do this one. We get a few minutes here. Okay. Normally I don't do this many, but nighttime. Nighttime rise, a different guy. Hey guys, I'm in a really good place in my life, mid-30s. I have an awesome job that I love. Side note, the email about having to get your dick kicked in at the beginning and reap the rewards in the back end, that's exactly what I did to get where I am. Yeah, I don't think people understand that. I just don't think enough people understand. I'm not turning it into a generational thing, but it's like, yeah, you know what? The hard stuff is really hard in the beginning, and not everything goes your way. A lot of stuff doesn't go your way. And then if you keep grinding and you're good at what you do, it'll eventually turn around. Doesn't happen overnight. When people say, oh, I know my worth. Well, your worth is what someone will pay you. And then if you don't think you're paid enough, find someone who will pay you more. And if no one else will pay you more, then that's probably what your worth is, what you're getting paid at that moment. I know it sucks to hear, but it's kind of the truth. Okay, back to telling you how awesome my life is. I have a wife who I truly love and doesn't mind putting up with me and my bullshit. Lastly, we just welcomed our first child late last year. Okay, I'm excited to start to instill great values in my son, such as to always tell the truth. That brings me back to my issue. Backstory, I attended my dream college for about 2 years and quit after realizing there was much more money to be made in the construction industry than I would have been making once out of school with my degree. Work took me to the Midwest region around the age of 23. While going out and meeting people at bars, I usually wore college apparel that would always say that I graduated. Wait. Oh, okay. God, I thought he was saying the hoodie said what year he graduated. He goes, all right, I always wore collegiate apparel and would always say that I graduated from said school I attended, but did not use my degree in the field I work in. I was ashamed for not finishing, and honestly, it didn't hurt the chances with the ladies thinking I had a degree. Plus, I was already making good money. Fast forward 10 years, my group of friends in this region all think I have a degree. My wife knows that I do not and chooses to stay quiet about the matter. She could care less, she says. Should I come clean with everyone next time the subject comes up about my time at said school? And if so, will my friends give me a pass on telling this lie for so long? All right, predicament. Also, is it weird that I'm still ashamed for not finishing my degree? No. I've put in the work to become a high-level manager without a degree, several graduates working under me. I make $250, $300K a year. Oh, here we go. I would not have made this much if I had stayed in school. I would have never met my wife, and I believe I wouldn't ever become this happy. Yet here I am yearning for that degree, which would do nothing to further my career at this stage of my life. Love to hear your advice on this. All right. He said it's my only problem right now. Okay, it's not a big problem, but I get the problem. The second part first. I don't think it's weird that you're not finished. I just think there's something that happens with us if we care about it. Now, there's guys that you have friends with that are just immune to anything. Like, hey, are you a little bummed out about it? No. And they're not lying to you. As much as I'll say, everybody wants to think they don't care what anyone thinks. It's just not true. But there's levels to how much you actually really care. And there's some people just walking around that are immune to anything. Like, I don't care. I just don't care. And sometimes you envy those people. But you obviously were smart enough to realize while you were in college, hey, I think I can go ahead and do this. And now you're to the point where you're making a great living, not good living, a great living. So because you probably have standards for yourself and goals and some of these things, you're still thinking like, oh, is there this hole there? The hole may not even really be real. I mean, what are we really talking about here? A piece of paper that says you took 60 more credits? So we can talk about, hey, finish what you started. You can talk about, hey, I never not finish a book. I read a lot. And sometimes I'll be like, this book sucks. What am I doing? You know, I personally would have those moments where when I didn't graduate and there was these long stretches, I would have, and everybody has these, I think, that went to school, because you're constantly worried about an assignment and all this anxiety of the whole thing. And I would just kept thinking about it over and over again, being like, I can't believe I didn't finish. I knew I had to. And for my career, it would have been weird if all of a sudden it was like, hey, that guy didn't graduate. Although I do know a couple of people that like went to broadcasting schools, then got a gig, and then all of a sudden they were like, you know what, I'm not going to go back, and they didn't graduate. So it probably happens a little bit more than you think. So as far as wanting this thing that you didn't accomplish, like I can understand it, but when you really think about what it means, it's fairly insignificant. Like it's this thing that you have to go through that proves that you did it. And it's not really what you learned there. It's growing up. It's becoming an adult, understanding the real part of, you know, taking care of yourself, which is really what, you know, being away at school is, as much as anything you're studying, unless you're in a completely specialized field. But for a lot of us that were doing, you know, not general studies, but hey, I'm going to be an English major. All right, I'm going to be a history major. All right, I'm going to be small business. I'm going to be econ. I'm going to be all these different things. And like all these guys ended up with jobs that were like crisscrossed. Like some of the guys that are doing the best in business and that kind of stuff took liberal arts classes. And some of the business guys, you know, one guy became a teacher. You know what I'm saying? So like you guys already know all this stuff. All right, so just shut the fuck up. Sorry, I'm rambling here. All right. The part about the lie, though, is I don't know your friends. You know, you said the Midwest people are nicer, but they're going to talk about you. All right. They like, there's going to be somebody in the group of friends that's like, he lied about this the whole time, and he's wearing his hat and t-shirt talking about the football team. I mean, at least you went there and then you decided to leave. So you have like two versions of guilt. One is insignificant about the degree. If it really bothers you that much, take a course, take a continuing education course once a week. You do it all online now. You know, if it really is bothering you that much, and I tell you what, the first time a paper is due 10 years after you had to hand one in, you'll be like, you know what, I'm good. I probably don't need to do
Fuck this.
All right. Yeah. I mean, the idea of having a paper due tomorrow when you haven't had to do it in forever, I can't even fathom what that would be like for some of you who aren't writers. So the second part of this, it's great your wife doesn't care, and that's what matters the most. I think there's a couple guys that we have from UVM that never graduated, by the way. And we do talk about them sometimes. We'll be like, wait, did that guy not actually graduate? And he says he did, and he shows up to stuff. And like, I don't know, man. Like, if that's his deal, like no one ever is going to bring it up. So what are you really doing here? If this thing is hanging on forever, then I guess you can just admit it, and then that way it gets it off your chest. And maybe everybody's totally cool with it. Maybe everybody's fine with it. There's probably going to be somebody in the group, just because this is what happens with once you start adding up the people. There's going to be one guy that's like, what the fuck is up with him? Why would he lie about that? What a weird thing. I'll never look at him the same, even though it's not the thing of not finishing. It's that you carried this out for this long time. And I don't even, look, I get it. It just, you feel like when you're younger and you didn't graduate, and even though your career is going to take off and you may not know what you're going to make, it's just easier to be like, yeah, I went there. I went to Wisconsin, instead of, well, I made it 2 years, but what's going on? You guys want some Captain and Gingers? Because they're just going to be like, what's this guy dropped out? And when you're competing in these fields, not to be like, although the dropout thing is hilarious. Like whenever you see those memes, you'll be like, Gates, Musk, Jobs, all dropouts. But okay, if you start inventing shit to fly to the moon, then you can drop out too. All right. But for the rest of us, most of us actually need to say that we completed school unless given a big opportunity prior to that. So whenever I see those memes, like, yeah, no, that's awesome. 7 billionaires didn't finish school. Everybody should do that. This one's not easy. It isn't easy. There's no easy solution because it really depends on your friend group. Maybe you bring it up to one of the friends that you trust the most out of the group. And you say, hey, should I bring this up to anybody else? But again, if you don't really trust him, but this isn't even that juicy. It really isn't. I don't think it is. I understand the guilt part. And if it keeps on happening, then just, hey, everybody. I would do it around some drinks, though. Like, because if you do it sober and you're like, hey, everyone, I need to talk to you, they're going to think you're dying or something. So, get a few drinks in, start laughing, start yucking it up. And these guys are really, really your friends. Again, Midwest, I like your chances. Then I don't think they're really going to care. I know I personally wouldn't care. I wouldn't be like, this whole time I thought you had taken 120 credits. This is, I don't even know you, man. I would be like, if I like you, I like you, and I'm going to want to keep hanging out. But I am always afraid of that, like that one person theory where they're going to be like, he goes back to his wife, like, I can't believe what he would just carry that out, because the lie itself, this isn't hurting anyone. It doesn't really mean anything. So I don't know. Good luck. LifeAdviceRR@gmail.com. Okay, have a great weekend. Enjoy wild card round. Again, we taped this one Thursday night, so we didn't have an NBA element from the Thursday night games, but we'll be back on our NBA stuff all next week. We have a massive week scheduled for next week. All sorts of cool people dropping by the podcast. So please, as always, spread the word and subscribe. Thank you.